It's dark outside and I've been up in this bitch getting fried. Welcome back to Bestie After Dark, where I read your worst or most interesting dating, romance, and bedroom storytime submissions. As a reminder, if you would like to get your story to me to be read on Bad, please visit ycbestie.com/bad, all lowercase, to fill out my form. If you would like to see all of Bestie After Dark all at once, you can subscribe on my website, ycbestie.com, for early access on Saturdays, as well as to support me as a creator, which I greatly appreciate. Or you can visit my YouTube at ycbestie on Mondays. If you prefer to hear your gossip instead of watch it, Bestie After Dark is also streaming on all major podcast platforms. The title of your After Dark storytime is Footboy. Okay, this isn't like a date gone wrong, but it's more of like an entire year gone wrong. I titled this Footboy because he, and we'll call him Dakota in this story, is really into feet, and once asked me to call him Footboy in bed. Footboy? I don't usually shame things like this, but Footboy? Facts, okay? Like, who am I to judge but Footboy? Who am I to judge, bitch? I'm the bitch that does the judging. What are you talking about? I am the judger. Like, what? Like, at this point, he is asking to be bullied. Yes. The foot thing is important, though, for when I divulge the really weird shit. So picture this. It's like a Wednesday night or something. A weekday, though. I was up doing laundry, as one does in the middle of the night. I went to grab a laundry pod and pulled the bag out of a basket in the storage above me. And when I pulled it down, with it came a phone. His old phone. And he put it there the last time that I caught him doing stupid shit. So curious little me plugs the phone into charge and waits for it to turn on. He was sleeping, so I knew that I was in the clear to snoop around, but boy was I flabbergasted when I found out that this 23-year-old, bald, skinny, DUI-having rat boy was cheating on me. And not just that, cheating on me a lot with a lot of different women. I discovered a secret Snapchat, all kinds of crazy videos on his ex feed, a second Facebook, messages on different apps from so many women sending him pictures of their feet for free. Ladies, please know your worth. That's so crazy. I agree, dear submitter. That is so crazy. They were doing what? Like, I've divulged before that I have ugly feet. It just is what it is. But, like, I cannot imagine being like, I can't. The funny thing is that he would say all these things that he would do, but he was one of the worst partners I've ever had in bed. He was boring, could barely do more than like 3 pumps before he would make me do the rest of the work, and he was just generally extremely vanilla. Anything I would ask to try, he just wouldn't. We didn't do it enough anyways because he felt guilty all of the time, apparently. Too guilty to sleep with me, but not guilty enough to stop cheating. Been there, sister. That's a rough spot. At what point in this story do y'all just like get down and dirty one time because you wanted to? Like just once for real, but it was for you. You just needed to get your rocks off. Fuck him. Because for me, there was one time I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, lay down. Anyways, I digress. He had a main girlfriend that knew about me. What? But none of the other girls did. I read through their messages, and not only was he trash-talking me and lying about me to her, he was asking her to stick her toe up his back door and then let him lick it after. You know, friend, how do I say this? Like, I can tell this was a very hurtful and hard experience for you to undergo at the time, and understandably so. But did you really want the love of your life to be the rat-faced DUI guy who asks random girls if he can stick their toe up his dingle hole and then lick it? That's the love of your life. That's your man. That's your soulmate. That's the future father of your children. I think not. I'm happy that you're not in this anymore. Okay, back to the story. But I just needed to take a second and say that, right? Because, like, this isn't even an example of what I'm usually say that about contextually. But usually it's like, I just met this guy and he was so amazing in bed and he did like this peculiar shit. And it's like, girl, you're not in love with him. You just like freaky shit. Like, it's not his special move. You can teach someone else how to do that. And also, is the guy that already knew how to do that and has done that on God knows how many women really the guy you want to be with? I'm turning the tables on them. Okay, I really am. And it's my dad's fault, but back to the story. So after this, I go to my room. I told him to get the fuck out of my bed and I sent him to the couch. Mind you, we had just gotten an apartment together and signed a year lease just a couple of months prior to this. And he had been cheating on me for about 11 months, the entirety of our relationship, and still had the gumption to ask me to sign a year-long lease. Crazy, crazy. Anyways, I ended up posting about him in one of the Are We Dating the Same Guy groups for where I lived, and within minutes, multiple girls were commenting. The comments went from girls admitting to talking to him to girls telling stories about having hung out with him, and apparently he was always weird. One girl said that he once asked for one of her shoes that had a hole in it because the hole was the perfect size. Was it a toe hole? Like her big toe came through? Listen, I don't even want to know. How big was the hole? How little was the... Stop. I'm in hell right now. There were a few other stories. One girl said that she'd been talking to him for months and was unsure if she should keep talking to him or not. Like, girl, we're giving you all the reasons not to, and you're still considering it? Facts. My ex-husband has had, that I know of, 2 girlfriends since we have no longer been together. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck at all. Like, I think of this man so minimally. I don't, like, but they come and find me. When he starts to, like, show the fucking insanity and, like, actual shit that he has going on, twice now, 2 different women have come and found me for, like, help, basically, for lack of a better term. And one of these girls, the first one, she was younger, and, like, I really felt for her because she clearly had been gaslit and manipulated and, like, basically so had her family because his whole family was in on it. Anyways, we have like an hour-and-a-half long phone call, right? I'm telling this girl all of the shit that there possibly is to fucking know, okay? Like, in no uncertain terms. Mind you, I have a recording of this somewhere. The whole conversation at like midnight. Because I was like, I'm so sorry, babe. I don't know you, but I know these people and I don't fucking trust them. So I'm gonna need your verbal consent for me to record this call. Straight like that. But she stayed with him for like 2 more months or some shit. I don't know. She messaged me when she broke up with him and I was like, you kind of dumb, ain't you? Like, I don't know. Okay. Let's finish your story. At that point, you get whatever's coming to you. Go for it, girl. Just 0 self-preservation skills. Anyway, his own sister ends up commenting that he recycles other people's trauma and uses it to make people feel bad for him so that he can always be the victim in everything. I still have no idea what stories he told me that were true and were his and which ones weren't, but I know for sure that he was weird. And apparently his sister sent him the post because he texted me threatening to sue me for defamation like 10 minutes after I posted it. I told him to pinpoint the lies and I would delete them, but he couldn't. The text thread for that was hilarious. Anyways, after trying to be his friend and realizing that he was just a fuck-ass little boy that will never grow up, I went no contact. Yeah, because why did you need to be friends with Footboy? You see where I'm coming from? Love yourself. You don't need to be friends with him. I sometimes wonder if Footboy will ever become Footman, but I doubt it. You're so funny. That's the last time I date an ugly guy, because I thought he would hurt me less. Common fallacy, dude. Super, super common fallacy. The title of your After Dark story time is Rubber Waster? ? I met a guy on Facebook dating. We chatted some, and one day he asked what I was up to. I said working out, but there's something I'd like to do later. He asks what, and I send a photo of a 3-pack of Trojans. He said he's also interested in that and that he'll stay awake for me. Imagine that. It turned out his kids were home, so we got down and dirty in my minivan. He did all of the things. It was nice. I decided I was ready to do some of the things for him. I grabbed a rubber out of the pack and wanted to mouth around a little bit before it went on. Imagine my surprise when I got down there and there was already one on. What? And he had put the rubber in my hand, too. 2 rubbers, 1 meat. All I could think was, didn't he take health class? Didn't they teach everyone that double bagging is dangerous? I got it all over with, went home, and I was just so weirded out by it that I never answered the next time he messaged me, but we are still Facebook friends. You know what? You had a hard time letting go. That's okay. You know he sees your post occasionally and he's like, I miss her in her minivan. The title of your After Dark story time is Hair Sweater. I went on the worst date of my life about 15 years ago. I was talking to a guy that I had this huge crush on in high school, and this felt like my chance to finally get to snatch him up. I went out for hibachi and had some drinks, and I decided I was going to rock his world. We go back to his place, and he tells me we have to be quiet because his roommates were sleeping. I later found out that it was his parents' house. We go into his room, and we're making out, and he's wearing a kind of Bill Cosby type sweater. He says it's too hot. He takes it off, and it looks like he is wearing a thick long sleeve shirt until I find out that's his chest hair. Whatever, we continue, but I lay down and he goes to put it in. It's dark, so I can't see anything, and he just starts rubbing it on the inside of my thigh. Like, no actual anything, but he thinks that he's in. I'm looking at him like, what the fuck? And then he starts sweating all over me, and I'm now just wanting it to be over, so I decide I'll just get on top and take control. He just had a little guy. It wasn't really doing anything for me, but I put on a performance. Stop doing that. I know this was 15 years ago, but stop making him feel good for doing nothing. I stand up to leave. I had to get home to the person babysitting my son, and his hair sweater was plastered all over my chest. I mean, just lots of shedding. Like I got into a tussle with Chewbacca. I'm in shock. I leave and I go home and I absolutely ghosted him. Okay. I went to the bar with my friends, who were good friends with him as well, and they asked what happened. I told them, and we spent a few minutes laughing about it and talking about it, but they proceeded to tell me that he keeps saying it was the best bedroom time he had ever had in his whole life. I still think about that to this day. That probably gives you such a good ego boost anytime you need it. And then an immediate sense of disgust immediately after. The title of your After Dark story time is Tampon Eater. So back in 2018, during my hoe phase, I worked at a fast food place in my hometown, and I met a man in the drive-thru one night. We exchanged numbers, and a few weeks go by. He gets back in from offshore. This dude, in the middle of my shift, says that he's parked outside and he wants some head. So what does my ass do? Gives that man some sloppy toppy on the clocky. Then the next and only other time we hook up was after one of my shifts. He came and got me, and we went to his place. I was on my monthly, and this man had no care in the world. He took my tampon out with his teeth, let me shower while we casually talked, and then rocked my world. Brought me home in these really cool neon basketball shorts because I went over in my nasty work clothes, and I still have them to this day. So I need you to know, letting you take a shower and like talking to you and stuff, that is not the weird part here, okay? The weird part was the part where he took your tampon out with his teeth. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? I love it when you guys have unique experiences, though. Good for you. The title of your After Dark story time is I Took Her Man and I Have No Regrets. Hey, Corporate Bestie. So this story starts back in 2017. I fucked my life up for a while, and I ended up having to give my daughter, who was 3 at the time, to her paternal grandmother, Dawn, temporarily. As the years went by, I stayed clean, out of trouble, and I really got my shit together. None of it was ever good enough for her, though. She would hold my daughter over my head like a dog treat and pull her away every time I tried to get close. It was the darkest time in my life. Fast forward to 2024, I was over it, I wanted my daughter back, and now was the time to get my revenge. Dawn had a boyfriend. Let's call him M. And M had 2 young kids of his own. They all lived in this gorgeous $300,000 home with my daughter's dad as well. And I saw an opportunity, so I started flirting with M. He was a trucker, so it was easy to meet up behind Dawn's back. And let's just say, he could take his teeth out, and I have a damn good imagination. Period. I mean, every single story that I have gotten that involved men of no teeth, where they just pop them out and gum your shit, the ladies leave very happy. I mean, what can I say? Anyways, we start meeting up regularly, and he starts to fall for me. He wanted nothing but to get my daughter back to me. Don was not good to my daughter or to his kids, and he was sick of it too. So we hatched a plan. He had cameras in his house, and one day it happened. We caught Don beating on M's son. Yes, he's okay, but we used this to get all of the children out of the house. Does this story end with y'all being together? Ugh. We got Dawn and her son, my daughter's dad, evicted from their own home, and I got emergency custody of my daughter, and I've gone through all of the steps to keep her. Now, I realized I've left out the years of abuse from Dawn and her son towards me, but I'm trying to keep this short. Anyways, Em and I got a place together, he and I, with his 2 kids and my daughter, long enough for the courts to sort out all of the hoopla with custody and such. Once I had custody back of my daughter, I broke his heart. You know what? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is going to piss a lot of people off. Good for you, for one. Good for you. 2, thank God. Thank God. Once again, the guy that cheats on your basically former mother-in-law with you, knowing that his lady, your former mother-in-law, is at home putting her hands on kids and being just an abusive tyrant and shit, not the love of your life. No. He definitely thought that he was saving you. And it sounds like he is a good guy when you overlook the unintentional harm. Maybe. But I'm so glad that this ended with y'all not being together. I never lied to him. I always told him that this was going to happen. I assumed he thought I would eventually love him back, but it never happened. I did fall for his kids, though, and that's not enough of a reason to stay with him. They moved out, and my daughter and I kept the house. Kept that house? You're so fucking funny. Now, fast forward to 2026. Emma's happily married, and the kids are flourishing. Good for him. My daughter and I have moved a couple of hours away with my now fiance. To the Karens, no, I have not cut my daughter off from her grandmother or her dad. And Don and I are rather close now, which is super weird, but it is nice to say the least. Don't think I love that. I'm gonna be so honest. I don't think I love that. I don't think I even like it. But you know what? If you're happy and all the kids are safe, not my business. I have a badass corporate job. My daughter gets honor roll every marking period, and we're doing amazing. I think about Em occasionally, and I thank him for making things right. And damn, do I miss that mouth. Get your gums back sometime, girl. No, not those gums, but different gums. The title of your After Dark story time is The Artist Formerly Known as Bill. This is wild, and let me preface it by saying I am a psychiatric RN, a whole-ass mental health professional. I should have caught this, but he lived over 3 hours away, and most of our relationship was over text. It was easy for him to hide. When we met online, Bill told me all kinds of completely plausible things about himself. That his mom had recently passed, that he was living with his elderly father in the home that Bill owned because his father had numerous health problems, that he had gone to one of the most prestigious schools in the country and had studied illustration, and that he was born and raised in Philadelphia. Nothing outrageous. He didn't say that he was an astronaut or anything. Did he say he went to like Harvard or Princeton? Or did he say he went to like UPenn? You know what I mean? Those are different. Oh, that's gonna piss somebody off, but you'll be okay. Right off the bat, Bill had a lot of issues down there, namely dysfunction and an inability to finish. He seemed super anxious and distracted about doing it, like just very uncomfortable with the whole thing. And I was like, dude, he was using stuff to help, but still, problems. Normally, when I went to visit, we would stay in an Airbnb near the ocean for my comfort. But on my final visit, I was excited that I was finally going to see his house. His father was going to visit his uncle, and we would have the house to ourselves. And girl, my girlfriend, when I walked in that fucking house, it was like, sweet mother of crap. This was not a house that belonged to a graduate of one of the most prestigious art schools in the country, of an illustrator. I excitedly asked to see his art, and he showed me a frame watercolor that he did in high school. That was total crap. I asked if he had any other work, and he gave me a withering look as if I know nothing about commercial art. I'm an illustrator, not a painter. There was one gorgeous painting over a desk in an office. The office was his father's. And when I asked who did it, he offhandedly said, "Oh, my brother."
Hell no, man. What the fuck?
His father had a master suite in the house, and Bill was in a little boy bedroom full of, and I shit you not, video game systems and skateboards. The entire house was decorated like a doctor's office in shades of gray and beige. I knew I'd been had, and I immediately looked up the address on Zillow to see who owned the house. And sure enough, his father owned it. When Bill took a nap, I went snooping in the father's office and room for evidence of oxygen supplies and diabetes care supplies. I found things like fishing trophies and golf clubs, and plane tickets to Michigan for an ice fishing trip. The father was ice fishing. I had to get out of there. I pretended like I had an emergency back home and I ran out. Once home, I started researching like the CIA. He had grown up in North Carolina. He never went to art school, but his brother did, and his brother is actually a very accomplished artist. His mother, very much alive. His father owned their home and takes care of him. When confronted, he freaked out and immediately blocked me on every conceivable platform. I mean, poof, disappeared like a coward. His pathological lying and secrets explain the ED and the dysfunction, but why? Why me? This went on for almost a year. It was so easy to identify once I got into his personal environment. Anyways, I beat myself up for about a month, but even the smartest and quickest of us can get had by these types, and it goes to show you that even a mental health professional can be tricked by very good liars. It happens. And I made friends with his ex, who was a lovely, intelligent, empathetic, kind, artsy woman, way too good for him. So I really came out ahead. I took a picture of us together when she came to town, framed it, and I sent it to his work, because I am not above being messy. I hope you enjoyed this tale of my woe. You don't have to use it, but definitely consider it a cautionary tale. Your caution has been tailed, girl. Don't worry. The title of your After Dark story time is, I dated a lol cow, but like on accident. I accidentally dated a guy who turned out to be a whole ass internet lol cow, and I didn't find out until I was already in it. This happened right after I got out of a really intense, messy situation with my ex. The FBI was involved.
Oh, hell no!
Want to send me that story? Like, what? I was emotionally fried, not thinking clearly, and honestly, I just wanted attention and something easy to distract me, and so naturally, I ended up on Discord. I met this guy in a public server where people just hang out and troll. We started talking every day, playing games, and he started flirting pretty fast. At the time, it felt harmless, just something fun. Within a few weeks, though, he wanted to make it serious, and I was in such a bad headspace that I just went along with it. In my mind, I was like, there was no way that this could be worse than what I just got out of. That was incredibly optimistic of me. It still wasn't worse, but God, I will never forget this. 2 weeks into dating, this man bought a plane ticket and flew across the country to see me, fully paid for everything, and I really just sat there and thought, well, it's not my money, which should have been the first red flag about myself. Like, right before he came out, like, when he was at the airport, he told me that he made YouTube content, trolling videos, and that he had a decent following. That caught my attention a little bit, so I looked into it, and that's when everything started getting weird. At first, he wouldn't tell me his YouTube channel's name. He said that there was drama and false accusations about him. He finally told me when I offered to help him go through everything and organize his side, but the more I looked, the more I was like, oh, this is not false. Things weren't lining up. The proof was weird, stories kept changing, and I remember having that sinking feeling like, yeah, this man is lying. Mind you, this was like a 7-hour flight and no contact with him in the air. I'm like, what the fuck? He just arrived and is already at my house. He's staying for 2 weeks.
Oh, hell no!
2 weeks? All that shit online and in person, somehow worse. He had zero sense of boundaries, wanted to be around me 24/7. At one point, he literally tried to be in the bathroom while I was showering, just standing there watching and making comments. Like, what? He also kept suggesting that we start a spicy page together. Sir, I met you on Discord. Be serious. And on top of that, I realized I wasn't attracted to him at all. Like, at all. I tried to gaslight myself into it for a second, but no, I tried. He just was ugly, and I couldn't unsee it. The title of your After Dark story time is My Ex Who Married His Mom? All right, bestie, do I have a story for you? I'll just jump right in. We'll go back about roughly 6 years before I started dating my now husband. I lived with an ex that I had only been dating for about 9 months. We moved in together after 3 months of dating, and trust me, I already know. I was 20 at the time, and I didn't have much history with dating at that point. Things were rocky at home, and this guy promised salvation, so being young and incredibly dumb, I said, fuck yeah, ruin my life, and he said, raise hell, praise Dale. Ironically, within the first week of dating, I immediately caught a strange vibe, but I ignorantly ignored it. The guy seemed freaky, and he was, but in like a I'm not mentally sane way. Come to find out, he was really into breeding and became weirdly obsessed with getting me pregnant not even 2 weeks into us dating, which is odd on its own until you add the fact that he also had ED, untreated diabetes, and an alcohol problem. And unfortunately for me, I didn't realize any of this until later in the relationship. I wanted to wait to do it for a while, and we actually didn't end up doing anything until right before we moved in together. Explaining all of this makes it sound like the obvious answer was to just never get involved with him, but here's the thing. He was highly manipulative, narcissistic, and had this really creepy charm about him, and because I was already so naive from growing up in a mainly sheltered home and unstable life, I didn't really know any better. Anyways, moving forward. This guy flirts with all my friends the entire time that we're together. He gets wasted on our couch one night, hanging all over one of my other friends because I went out for a couple hours one night, and when I came home, I got to listen to him incoherently sob about how he was afraid of me leaving. Got mad at me when I left my job after I caught him cheating, and I kept having panic attacks at work, and I couldn't sleep at night because I was afraid he would do it again if I wasn't present enough. I hope you're in therapy because as someone who was that level of down bad before, but it sounds like you're in a much better place now. He flashed my best friend when me and her tried to get him into bed one night after he had once again gotten overly, insanely drunk. His cousin was a cunt, and also so was his mom. Come to find out, him and his mom had a strained relationship that caused him to be insanely obsessed with her to an unhealthy degree. For his birthday that he had while we were together, she got him a cheap-ass vacuum. Well, I'd given it away to someone in my own family because we already had a vacuum, and he lost his complete, absolute shit over it. Fast forward, we break up, he blames everything on me, I get the apartment, he moves back in with his cousin. Apparently he goes on a Tinder spree for a while, which is crazy for someone whose meat doesn't work, and finds this girl who ironically looks almost exactly like his mom if she was a contestant on My 600-Pound Life. Like, I swear if they took a DNA test, I wouldn't be surprised if it came up positive. Fast forward, he marries her on my fucking birthday. That's rough. The title of your After Dark story time is My Gay Baby Daddy. Happy Pride. Hi, Bestie. This story is kind of hilarious, and it's a little bit of a doozy, so I hope everyone enjoys it. When I was 12, I lived next door to this girl named Kayla. Kayla and I were friends, so I stayed the night almost every single night, and Kayla had an older sister named Alex. Alex had this boyfriend named Jordan that lived with them. He was 19, and Alex claimed that he knew the secrets to the universe, so I asked him once, and he said, well, I don't want to ruin everyone's religion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, oh, okay.
He would play video games all night in the living room, so he spent a good bit of time with all of us. Flash forward, and I'm a stupid 19-year-old girl with a baby. I matched with Jordan on a dating site not knowing who he was, but he sure knew me. We would talk for hours about how I was treated in the friend group, etc. We ended up staying together long distance, and I got pregnant again, to which he starts what I call his annual scandals. The first year, I found out that he was on that stuff actively after he quit his job doing computer programming randomly one day because the Indians on his work team were bullying him. Turns out he was doing psychedelics with his roommates instead of working on bank security. He ends up telling me and my father that his roommates were randomly doing it with random people and watching extremely aggressive videos on the internet and other sick things, like buying and selling bank secrets through the dark web.
Huh?
Didn't you just say he was a bank engineer? The next year, he had herpes, and he wasn't telling anyone he ever slept with because how will I find love? Thankfully, I never got it, but he did have it the entire time we were together. That is how it works. Yeah. The year my dad died, he stole $150K in inheritance and then began severely abusing me through manipulation, physical violence, etc. Even at one point, I attempted to flush my dad's ashes. My whole life was controlled by this meager little man with a god complex. The year after my dad, his scandal was The Secrets of the Universe, where he became obsessed with people like Epstein, thinking they had the secrets and that we should have listened to them. He also had a list of celebrities he was convinced had sociopathy and at one point had AI psychosis from talking to ChatGPT for 6 months straight. The final scandal was him being gay. I found over 200 affairs dating back to when we were long distance, and it turns out all of what he said about his roommates doing stuff, he was actually the one doing. The day I found out everything, he begged me not to leave him because it's just Jack in it. Then he and his family proceeded to chase me around in a Prius, which is both hilarious and terrifying. Now we sort of co-parent, and about once a month, Scandal Boy does a scandal. Thank you for sharing this stupidity. The title of your After Dark story time is Freaky Brother Fucker. So this story starts back in 2016. My family took in a girl named Roxanne when she ran away from DSS. She'd left her foster home and hid from the cops for months in my house. We ended up dating for a few months, and my brother was in elementary school at the time, so I thought nothing of it. We went camping one summer, and she cheated on me with a 30-year-old man while my little sister slept outside of their tent. Fast forward 10 years, my brother graduates high school this past year, and I found out yesterday she fucked my brother. She grew up beside him, and I think that it is gross and funny that it happened. So that is actually really disgusting.
Brother, ugh.
I see why you might think it's kind of funny, because that's some shit. If it happened to me, I'd probably be like, oh, fuck. No, that's actually extremely disgusting. When you think about it, like, it's not as bad as it could be, but good? Fuck no. Thank you so much for joining me for another wonderful week of Bestie After Dark. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye!